What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network. He is Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles, and as always, this show is brought to you by the North Shore Tavern. If you love baseball, you'll love the North Shore Tavern. The interior is wall-to-wall Pirates. There are appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Andrew, just more of the same. That's what this has become. I think just another series loss for the Pirates, as Jason pointed out on social media. They started the season winning, I believe, their first 3 series of the year they won. 2 of them on the road, 1 of them at home. They have won 1 series since. There's been a couple of splits in there. I know there was one in Philadelphia. I know there was one at home against the Brewers, but for the most part, it's been losing 2 of 3, getting swept, and this was no different. The Pirates lose back-to-back games after a nice win Monday evening in Milwaukee. They are now 19-25, 6 games under 500, which is the low mark of the year. They are 10-23 since starting the year 9-2. Just want to get your original thoughts, your opening remarks.
Yeah, my opening remarks are I'm about to break some ground for all of you. That this Pirates team is really struggling right now. In all seriousness, though, I mean, it's across the board, and something that you and I have chatted about before recording this is that there are some trends that you look at that have been strengths all season that, in my opinion, they're showing some signs of cracking, which I know we'll get into later. But the starting pitching for the most part has been solid. That showed some signs of some issues during this series. The hitting, a great Monday night where they score 7 runs. That's 2 games removed from when they had a season high 10 against the Cubs on Saturday. And then today's game, Wednesday's game, they scored 2 runs. That's the 17th time in 27 games that they've scored 2 or fewer runs. So it would be, factually incorrect to say that these are aberrations, to say that this team is due for better results. The reality is just that, on a scope-wide basis, looking at the whole team, they're just struggling across the board, and this team is just continuing to trend in the wrong direction, as evidenced by that stat being 6 games under. So not a good series, but not many good series recently for this club.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's not a team-wide slump. It is this is what you are.
Yep.
And I mean, this is what, 44 games in now? Is that right? Yeah, 44 games in. It's like a third of the season, or a fourth of the season, I should say. Right?
Yep.
Is my math right there? Yeah.
Yes. We're over the quarter. We're a quarter past it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're that deep in, I mean, you have a little bit of an idea what you're looking at. And, I feel like by the halfway point, you really need to decide, are you a buyer or are you a seller? And there really has not been 1 week that's gone by since the opening week of the season, really, that has indicated this team should be anything other than a seller and looking to make moves that will better the team for 2025. That's where it's kind of trending right now. But we'll get into the Brewers series now. The good, the bad, the ugly. Andrew, what is your good from this series?
Yeah, good from this series, which you could extrapolate it to the last week or so, is that Andrew McCutchen continues to hit the ball hard. The difference is he finally got rewarded this series. Wednesday went 3 for 4 to cap off a series where I believe he went 5 for 13, hit a home run on Wednesday. So, listen, Kutch's been hitting the ball well recently. There's a reason he's atop the lineup. I know some clamored, why is he there? This guy's hitting 200 or below that. But he's consistently having great at-bats. He looks locked in. He's taking a lot of pitches. And for him coming back here to Milwaukee, where he played for a little bit, fans showed him some love, got some appreciation there, and played well, all told. So for Kutch, a good series, really good series for the top third of the lineup. I mean, Brian Reynolds going 5 for 5, and O'Neill Cruz continuing to hit the ball well. But McCutchen being the guy leading that table, setting it up for the number 2 and 3 holes. I thought McCutchen had a really good series. What about yourself?
Yeah, I just want to build on the Kutch part. I mean, he entered the month batting 190. He's up to 211 right now. He's reached base in 9 of his last 10 games. I mean, that's good production from the leadoff spot.
Yeah.
My good would be Mitch Keller. You just look at how he's been in the last 2 starts, the most recent obviously occurring in this Milwaukee series. He's been what they paid for. as of late, Andrew. And I think this last start was important because you want to see him follow up what he did after the complete game. Was that just a one-off, and is he going to reduce to being, the inconsistent, go back to being the inconsistent guy that we've kind of seen this year? Or is he starting to piece together good outings? And I mean, that was a really good outing, 6 shutout frames. I mean, he allowed a decent amount of hits, but he didn't let anyone home. And we've seen what this Brewers lineup can do to other starting pitchers on this team. So props to him. His ERA is now under 4. It's at 391, I believe, or 393, something along those lines. Yeah, 393. And it just seems like he's more in command. I don't ever want to say, Mitch was not confident out there, but he has his stuff working right now. And if memory serves correctly, I think this was about the time when Mitch was at his best last season in May. He was pretty dominant. So seems like that's kind of the trend with him. He needs about a month to find his footing, and then he's going to hit the ground running. And he looked really good again. And having back-to-back starts right now for a team that desperately needs it is key, because he's been on the bump in 2 of, I believe, their last 3 wins, with the other one being Paul Skeens Day, which, I mean, who do you even give credit for that one? But those are the good. Andrew, let's get into the bad. What do you got?
Martin Perez. We'll stick with the starting pitching theme. And unfortunately for Martin, this was one of his most challenging starts as a big leaguer here on Wednesday, but I'll extrapolate it out to the entire month. First, I'll focus on the start. He gave up a career worst 5 home runs. That's the most he's ever given up in one start. He had pitched in 296 career MLB games before today. His previous high was 3. He'd done that a few times. In this ballpark, guys like Max Scherzer have given up 5 career home runs before. One of the Brewers beat reporters pointed that out to me, that a couple of years ago, Scherzer gave up 5 here to a team that included Rowdy Tellez. Things have changed since then, but regardless, Perez, not a great start for him today, and not really a great month. He pitched to a 2.86 ERA his first 6 outings. Now in his last 3, he's given up 16 earned runs in his last 15 and a third. So, a lot of that is due to giving up 9 earned runs today, but it's also he'd given up 7 in his previous 2. So Perez showing some signs of being a little bit leaky. That's not a good development for the Pirates, considering how good their starting rotation has been. He's confident this isn't too big of an issue, but still, it's something that you got to be at least a little bit concerned about, just given, how consistent he was to start the season.
Yeah, I'll go for my bad. I was originally going to say the bullpen, but honestly, I don't think the bullpen was a huge problem. I mean, it was bad Monday, but they won Monday. I don't think they allowed any runs Tuesday. And Wednesday, I mean, the game was over by the time the bullpen took the ball. So I don't think it'd be fair to blame them. I'll just go with the bottom of the order. I mean, Andrew, right now, we're seeing production from Kutch in the leadoff spot. Reynolds had a 5-hit game Monday. O'Neal Cruz is driving the baseball. Connor Joe remains the most consistent hitter on this team. But when you get past the 4 or the 5 mark, I mean, Nick Gonzalez had a hit or 2. I mean, Jack had a home run Monday, but I mean, you're not getting it. You didn't get hardly anything, I think, from the bottom third, especially in the last couple of games. It just wasn't what you needed to be. And it's tough right now. I mean, this team is really depending on 3, maybe 4 guys to produce all of the offense, all of it. And they're all at the top of the order. Granted, again, you'll get one good game a series from a Michael A. Taylor, a Nick Gonzalez, whoever, but you're not getting consistency. You're not seeing the progress that you're seeing from a guy like McCutchen, who was slumping and is now barreling the ball, or O'Neal Cruz, who's reduced his strikeout rate this month by 15%. You're not seeing those strides taken. Granted, I mean, some guys are a little better. I mean, Joey Bart, I think, had a multi-hit game Wednesday.
Yep.
That's progress compared to what he's been doing in recent series. Triolo's batting average has been a little higher, I guess, but overall, it's just not where the team needs it to be. And it was when this group had only 1 or 2 guys actually hitting, you thought, okay, the rest of the pack's going to get back to where they should be. And we've seen that by some of the pack, but not nearly enough. And this was a very pivotal series. And you thought after Monday, where it was a complete team effort, you'd see more of it. they got figured out, and it didn't result in much the next couple of games. Let's bring it over now to the ugly. I'll stay on this because I think your pick in this is going to be something we discuss a little bit more. Rowdy Tellez is my pick for ugly. He went 0 for 6 this series. 0 for 5. Was that a Monday where he was 0 for 5? Yes. Just bad at bats. He pinch hit again today, Wednesday. Didn't get a hit. His average has to be under 180 now. I'd assume. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, he's down to 176 with
yes,
a 481 OPS.
481 OPS, yeah. And I mean, you don't like to single a guy out, but I mean, you just look in his last 15 games, he's hitting 162 with a 243 slugging percentage. He still only has, I believe, 4 extra base hits this year. 2 of them came in one game. It's just tough. And while yes, you want to give a guy an opportunity to prove himself, we're past the quarter mark of the season. If this was another sport, if this was football and you were playing a left tackle and he stunk for the first 4 games, would you be starting him in week 5? I don't think so. If you had, a point guard in basketball and he stunk for the first 20 games, would he still be starting? I don't think so. It's getting to a point now where there are better options at first base. And when you want to play Joe at first, and there are maybe better options in the minor league system, the free agent market. There are just better options out there. I don't know how much more time Rowdy Tellez has with this team, Andrew. It just wouldn't make sense for him to continue playing every day at first base for the Pirates.
Asking for my thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, thoughts, yeah.
I would say that the only tack on I'll have there is just that I think this is going to have a way of figuring itself out without it being spoken. And what I mean by that is, yeah, you had it the last 2 games where a lefty's on the mound for the Brewers and a righty and Joe Ross is on the mound, who's a reverse split guy, as Shelton pointed out. There's a way of subtly doing this where you can slowly phase Tellez out. And if he makes the most of his diminished opportunities, then sure, you let the guy stick around. But I think this is going to have a way of, yes, maybe it'll still anger some in the fan base whenever he gets a start. But I have a belief that this is going to become more and more Connor Joe playing time there, just based off of what we saw in this series in particular. You never want to, exaggerate or take too much away from a 3-game set. But I thought the way that Tellez was deployed here, specifically back here at a ballpark that he played at for 3 years and enjoyed some of the best years of his career, circumstance in a stadium, that doesn't matter as much as who's on the mound. But I think that's something to at least bring up, is that this is a guy who, basically didn't play the last 2 days. And this is a ballpark that he had the best season of his career in. So just a nugget to point out there. But all told, we're not seeing a lot from Rowdy Tellez.
No. So what's your ugly?
Yeah, mine is management of the rotation. I'm sure you have plenty to add on about this too, but I guess let's just back this up to Saturday. Okay, the Pirates call up Paul Skeens to make his MLB debut, and in that corresponding move, Roansy Contreras gets designated for assignment. Roansy Contreras, who was a former top 100 draft pick, or not top 100 draft pick, top 100 prospect, who had some success here in Pittsburgh, was a key part of the Jameson Taillon trade to the Yankees. This is a guy who was supposed to be an ace, or at least a top pitcher for the Pirates. Never quite worked out that way. And the reason he was DFA'd was because the Pirates wanted to add Skeens to the rotation, rightfully so, given how he pitched, and you wanted the 6-man rotation. Well, effective Wednesday afternoon, the Pirates had given up hopes on that 6-man rotation because Quinn Priester, after giving up 4 earned runs all in 1 inning in a 6-inning outing, gets optioned back to Triple-A so that you can add Carmen Majinski to the roster because your bullpen is beleaguered. Your bullpen, which has a 5.40 ERA dating back to May 1st. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack, but my general consensus there is just, why was the narrative that you wanted to do a 6-man rotation, and that this is something that could be beneficial to starting pitchers like Skeens and Jones, who are trying to manage innings, and then give up on it after 1 turn through the rotation, considering that you have 3 off days remaining this month, including 1 right at the conclusion of this road trip. There's a lot to unpack there, I know, but the 6-man rotation idea, it made some degree of logical sense. I understood it, but why give up on it so quickly Why lose both Josh Fleming and Roansy Contreras in the process? I have a lot of questions about it, and I really don't understand it.
Yeah, to me, and again, this isn't off of what I've heard, but just based off of the observations that I've made in his decision making and the way he's talked about it, I don't think Derek Shelton was ever comfortable doing this,
Yeah,
Andrew.
agreed.
I think this is something the front office wanted with Skeens, and I think this, and I'm not accusing it. I just based off of like this is not me reporting anything, but if I were to make an educated observation, it looks like this is something where Shelton wasn't ever 100% in on this idea. And if you look at it, because I don't think he seemed very comfortable making managerial decisions based off of having a limited bullpen. He expressed that being the reason for leaving guys in well past their expiration date in a game. You look back to Saturday, and I know this isn't the Milwaukee series, but why he didn't pull Kyle Nicholas as early as he did. And then why Josh Fleming came back out for another frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then why Martin Perez was stuck out there. It's because today with he just had to eat it. He had to sit there and just get bullied. It's tough. It's tough. So I don't know who to point the blame at. It could be Shelton. It could be the front office. It could just be something where it kind of snowballed. They were hoping Paul would go 5. They were hoping the rain delay wouldn't make them blow through 3 arms in one whole inning, essentially, and kind of snowball into something else. But I agree with you, Andrew. It feels like they pulled the cord way too soon on this. They hit the eject switch way too soon, because now, I mean, like you said, there's a chance they lose Josh Fleming, who was probably their most consistent bullpen arm in April. Granted, he hasn't been great in his last couple of outings, but overall, I don't think he deserved to be DFA'd. You had to absolutely, give up on Roansy Contreras, where that was probably coming sooner rather than later anyway, but you sacrificed him for a strategy decision that lasted less than a week. It lasted 4 days. So what do you have to gain from this? You didn't save anyone's arm. You didn't. You made one of your strengths of your team worse, and now you're without 2 players that were on your 40-man roster entering the weekend. So I don't know. I mean, it clearly went wrong. Do you have anything else you want to add on to basically everything that I just pointed out?
Yeah, no, I mean, the only other note I'll add is with Josh Fleming, as you articulated, this is a guy who was a very effective lefty in April. Let's focus on the lefty part. The only left-handed reliever currently in the Pirates bullpen now is Aroldis Chapman. So now in terms of manipulating matchups, which is something this front office and this organization prioritizes, in terms of late-game leverage opportunities, you need to go to a righty, basically, unless it's Aroldis Chapman, who, by the way, is still coming back from, cracking his nail, which, again, it's not super serious, but it's something that, in terms of this series in particular, then you also look in the minors at who's available in terms of left-handed relief options. There's not many of them. And I know there's some guys in the bullpen that are, reverse split righties. Still, though, having left-handed relievers is better than to just have one. So, again, that's a byproduct of these choices. I agree with you, though. Having Fleming go as the DFA candidate, don't know that was the right guy to go, even if the last few were some trying starts or outings for him.
Well, Andrew, you will continue your journey to Chicago. Pirates have a 4-game series in the Windy City before heading back home. We just saw this club in Pittsburgh where they took 2 or 3 from the Pirates. Again, some winnable games that the Pirates did not capitalize on just on Sunday. What's your big takeaway? What's your big key, I guess I could say, going into this series? I mean, I think the headline is obviously it's Skeens and Jones are going to be pitching on back-to-back days in this series. Is that the big thing you're looking at right now?
It's the big thing, but it's also the quick turnaround of it. And that's, I think, the thing that you have to make sure that you're prepared for. This is kind of a little bit of a trying stretch, just in the sense that Tuesday night game, Wednesday day game against the Brewers, then Thursday night game, Friday day game against the Cubs. And also it looks like there's rain in the forecast Thursday. So that could be a game Thursday. And, I'm not here to be Mr. Weatherman, but let's say that one gets delayed, it gets pushed back, things like that. the benefit that you have of going 1-2 punch with Jones into Skeens, I'm curious of how much they'll be able to maximize that, and if anything gets thrown off kilter versus you look at the weekend where, again, you're not going to push guys' starts back just based off weather, but it's like in terms of most normal bullpen usage, Saturday and Sunday are probably going to be the days that you're looking at, but Skeens is on an innings limit, at least as far as we've been able to garner based on his minor league appearances, based off that first MLB start. So if the bullpen gets forced to be used a lot on Thursday when Jones goes because of inclement weather, on Friday when Skeens throws because of his pitch count, Saturday and Sunday could be tough for the bullpen. So lots to unwrap there, but it's going to be a series where pitching is going to be the storyline, whether that's starters or relievers.
He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. Check out our work at post-gazette.com, and you can keep tuning in to the Post-Gazette Sports Now YouTube channel and podcast network for all of your Pittsburgh Post-Gazette sports coverage.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.